Let me get over here to Nancy and get her up and rolling. Stay tuned for the Vixen's Vault and her Legion of Chaos, Nancy Planetta. Let me get the Legion of Chaos up and rolling. David? I guess David's not in. I don't see
lobby.
David.
Who's in the lobby? I went to view the lobby and there's nobody there. Oh, wait, waiting in the lobby.
Oh, there
David?
we go. And Raph.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Where'd Rafa go? I just let him in the lobby.
I just added him in. There we go. All right.
Where's Mark?
What a night, what a night, what a night. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I saw that. I said to Roger, drop me the line that Jack wasn't going to be able to make it tonight because of a family emergency. I'm like, literally, I'm in the middle of cleaning up, eating, doing. I was like, dude, I don't know if I could step in for him. I don't. He goes, no. He's got censorship sucks, going over another hour. I said, cool.
Yeah. John and Barry handled it really well. I'm really thankful that they came in and did that.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome of them.
Yep. Those guys are awesome. And we took and did the it was like an old 3-hour show that we used to do, as John had that extra hour before I brought in
Jack,
yeah.
Yep.
But I told him, I said, I think it'd be better if you kind of like slimmed it down a little bit. And he was like, yeah, that's kind of a good idea if we do that. I'm starting to get a little burnt. And it really helped him out, especially since he does Sunday and Wednesday.
That's a lot. And that, and I know that.
Yeah, I know.
Lot.
He does he does like 5, with pre-shows and after shows. It's almost 6 hours he does.
Yep.
So that's that's some great stuff. And he's different crewman on Sunday nights, so that does help. Hi everybody.
Oh,
hey Mark.
There we
go.
Raph,
I got Nina sitting in with me right now, over here to my left.
Hey Nina.
Hi.
Good evening.
Becky.
Good evening.
Yeah. Okay, Nance, you got 30 seconds, and then you'll be live and on the radio side. And remind me when we hit the half-hour point, or when you get to your first break, we'll need to switch so that you get enough time. Okay.
Okay.
Because I did start us up a little too early, but I wanted to get that transition in. And here's your countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you are live and on the radio side for the very first time tonight, right now.
And welcome everybody to the Vixen's Vault. Today's date, February the 25th, 2026. We are literally 3 days out from entering into the new world of March 2026. And I'm telling you, man, this year is flying by, literally flying by. And there's so many things happening at once. It's like, I feel like I'm living in the land of chaos where you're looking at, like, I almost sometimes feel like I'm standing back looking at a bunch of glowing stars and some are twinkling, and I just want to reach and pluck one and look at it, and then another one flies by. It's just so much going on insofar as information and movement, and it's crazy. I mean, week before last, we had Barack Obama go public with making a statement. He didn't say there were UFOs. He made a statement alluding to it. And literally, same time, and this is what kills me, is the time frames of everything. Same time, you get a 3 million file release of the Epstein files, right? Same time, you have Trump within a day and a half of Barack Obama going on air saying, well, I'm declassifying the UFO files. Okay. Same time, you've got Mexico ramping up. Remember, I told you guys to watch Mexico. Kept telling y'all Mexico was going to be the next stop. Why? Because I knew we had staged troops on the border of Mexico. We don't just do that for, yank your crank day, especially when we've already got the border under control. I mean, and since the Trump administration took control, we've really had I think they said it was, I want to say it was like 22 people that have crossed the border illegally and got caught. So there's a lot of control mechanisms that were put into play that would take away from federal presence on the border in that way, at least federal troops presence. And I know they've been down there. I know they're actually staged all the way around the country of Mexico. So yeah, it made sense that after Venezuela, Mexico would be the next step, and then likely Cuba after Mexico. That being said, how does that work into everything? And I kind of laugh because I'm like, holy distraction, Batman. You've got distraction going on everywhere. Everywhere. You've got Trump and Bibi Netanyahu fighting this war that nobody seems to be seeing the battle that's actually happening. And I think it's funny because I'm like, you've got Bibi making veiled threats at Trump going right back at him, and nobody seems to understand these are veiled threats. And I'm like, they're not on good terms right now, guys. They're really not. It's Bibi is pissed off that we haven't crushed the hell out of Iran, and we're not going to crush the hell out of Iran. That's the thing. If y'all have been paying attention to the movements, yeah, we had this giant fleet go over there.
We've got the sorry, Nancy.
Yep.
Quick point.
Yep.
Threats, or is it more showmanship?
No, there's way too much information out there.
They're doing it in public. That's why I asked.
Well,
No.
there is an important point that anything that we see on the news is there for a reason. And
Yep.
I have some relatives in intelligence, and they never tell me anything, so don't ask me any questions about who killed JFK or anything like that. They never told me anything. But I did pick up a few things from them. And one is that if somebody comes out and says, I'm revealing classified information, or I'm leaking this, or I'm saying that, they're doing it on instruction. Okay.
Yep.
These guys, they don't disappear people, like it's all dramatic and stuff. No, they put you in Leavenworth for 30 years. That's worse in a lot of ways. So people tend not to betray their secrets and kind of deal. So if they're out there talking, especially if they're not being hauled off to prison, it's because people want you to know something. And, the thing about Trump is Donald Trump is a world historic figure. And world historic figures are really fun to read about in history books. They move populations and they secure borders and they do this and that and this. But when you're actually living in the time of world historic, people on the ground when Napoleon was running around, Napoleon, he was cool. And there were a lot of he's a fascinating character. But to actually be living in France in the Napoleonic era could be a little on the chaotic side. So we've got to be ready for this sort of a chaos when you're seeing. And I think Trump also is trying to move as quickly as possible, because I think his opponents have been, they've had the reins for way too long. We lost that balance we used to have in this country of simply going back and forth, not getting too riled up if you don't get all of your policies, because, in a few years you'll have a chance to implement, and that whole art of compromise that we used to see so well, but which was abused. And but yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with, we've got to have a certain historical perspective. But yeah, I agree, with Trump, that's his style, is to keep people guessing. And whenever he wants someone to not pay attention to something, he'll say something like, we'll do this or that. And they burn up all their energy over like a meme he posts. When he was doing those Mexican memes, which were hilarious. I hang out with these guys, and we're all we don't care about each other's politics, but we all agree that Trump is just so hilarious. I mean, this is the entertaining and best president I've seen. And that kind of wit, you see that only rarely with politicians. That Senator Kennedy is like that too. Smart people generally don't go into politics much. They don't like smart people in politics. You do what you're told, and you come out of the Senate and you're a millionaire. And
Well, I think
that was
what made
most
Trump
people.
double trouble, I think what made him a double trouble problem going into politics is that he's been on both sides of the ball.
Well, there's
He
that
put
too. Yeah.
yep, he was a Democrat for years. He knows all their dirty tricks. He
Right.
turned Republican so he could win the nomination. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. He ran in 2012. Everybody forgets that. He was in the primary for 2012. He dropped out of the primary for 2012. If you look at the timing of that primary run, he did that because Epstein got a plea deal and he was furious. I still remember reading about
Right.
this. I don't know how people do not remember this. I'm like, y'all, like, it's like your memories fill out your rear end.
Also,
He-
in 2012, in 2012 or 2011, wasn't he planned to to act as a witness against Epstein?
28, it was 2008. He was actually a witness for the prosecution and he was working with the FBI. He's what got Epstein arrested to begin with. And again, when Epstein got that sweetheart plea deal, he was livid. I mean, livid. So he did the test run in 2012 with the primary, kind of got his footing and said, okay, came back, won it in 2016. And then, of course, we have the crap show that ensued from there. And, I said, he arrested Jeffrey Epstein. He went after him. Okay. He's the only one that went after him. Okay. You had Biden, who had 4 years he sat on those FBI files. 4 friggin' years. And not one word was said. And let me tell you, if Trump had raped little girls or anything like that, believe you me, they'd have hung him on a cross in front of Congress and left everybody else's names out of it.
Well, they threw everything they could find at him. They dug for years
They
trying
had
to
to
find
make things
something.
up. They had to change law to go after him, literally. So it's like, guys, I know it's easy to hate somebody because they're not doing everything you want them to do immediately. But he's got to do things in a certain way because there are so many corrupt people in our government and there's so much control.
That's the thing too, you're completely on target there because it's like so many people I see, they say, well, I like this guy, except, and I talk to people all the time and they're like, well, Trump's no good because he doesn't do this. And he's like, look, no, he's not Thomas Jefferson. He's not Adolf Hitler. He's not anything that you might have as your hero. He's just this guy. And in my day, we just picked a candidate that most aligned with what you'd like. And you didn't expect to like everything they did, but you're saying like, you know what, I like the direction he's going. And I don't agree with everything with him, of course. I don't think it's this perfectionism. I think it's just an excuse for defeatism, if you ask me.
I think a lot of it too is I think there's panic. I think there's panic within the ranks, both sides of the table. I think the Republicans are panicking and the Democrats are panicking. Why? Because he seems to be getting, and guys, how many times have I said this? For the first time in my memory, both Democrats and Republicans know what the Second Amendment is and all agree that we have the right to the Second Amendment. Okay. We have spent the last 40 years battling Democrats on the Second Amendment because they wanted to basically piecemeal the Constitution together, take certain words out of the amendment and put that in a school book and teach that to children so children don't know what the actual Second Amendment says. It doesn't say that only the military gets to carry arms. Where in God's name that came from, I don't know. It gives the right to everybody. Everybody. And it's not, and again, Federalist Papers, they don't even talk about that. It's not, you're not given the Second Amendment right so you can go hunting. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, and it sounds absolutely ridiculous.
We were talking about this the other night. There's an ancient English and I think Western European idea that a free individual has the right to defend their bodily integrity up to and including the use of deadly force. So if you carried a sword and later a pistol, this was your way of saying that, you can only push me so far. And I'm reminded, I was talking to Roger about this just not long ago about how, I forget who it was, an English visitor out to the so-called Wild West, 19th century California. And he talked about how he'd go into a bar and all these guys had these huge guns strapped on their hips and everyone was so polite. There was no trouble. An armed society is a polite society. So there is that. But I think it came out of a very old tradition that a free individual has the right to self-defense. And
Colonel Jeff Cooper.
on top of this,
That's who it came from. Sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, that's one of Rafi's favorite expressions. That's why when you said an armed society is a polite society, when you said that, I started laughing. It's one of his favorite things to say.
Robert Heinlein, I think, said that.
Britain isn't technically an armed society, but
No, because y'all put your tail between your legs.
We are generally well known for good manners.
You did the same thing Australia did. You let your politicians run basically theater. And it scared you all. And you let them take your rights from you. And once your rights are gone, good luck getting them put back into place because it doesn't happen.
But what about the knights?
The Knights?
The what?
The knights.
Knights.
You know, like at the round
14th
table.
century.
We're talking about
The medieval. Yeah, medieval.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
well, that was where that came
and
out
you-
of because only nobles had weapons at one time.
Exactly.
You know, that was a populist kind of a change. Also, I think there was a greater reliance as warfare changed. I mean, I was just studying this history of the 80 Years' War, and even in that 80 years, they went from having battles which were like maybe a couple of thousand people to suddenly marching 10 or 15,000 people out on the field. So you needed, a population that understood arms, and it was more common for them to be used.
I always found it funny that people don't talk about the Revolutionary War when we're talking with warfare because, people say guerrilla warfare. Well, okay, that's how we won the Revolutionary War, guys. We were not exactly civilized military in that time period. I have to put that into reference because in that time, warfare was like a very well-planned, civilized event.
Yeah.
I mean, in the
they
British,
got it from the Indians. They
Oh,
got the
Lord.
guerrilla stuff from the Indians.
I said, the Indian. It was like they would line up, and it was fought like gentlemen. And yes, they were brutal and killed each other, but they fought not the Americans. The Americans are hanging out of trees. I mean,
and they learned that from
we
the
also had the
Indians.
ability to do it the other way too, because these were trained militias.
Yes.
A lot of these guys had experience with. We called it the French and Indian War. I think they call it the 7 Years' War over in Europe.
Yeah.
Because they don't know any better. But it's
oh, poor Mark.
yeah, we were able to. No, I have a great deal of respect for the United Kingdom. Their problem is that they don't have their natural lord at the head. As long as the usurper Charles and his Hanoverian clique are still in power.
Ew, you and I are in sync.
Line under Francis II, the rightful king of the United Kingdom. Well, that will bring prosperity to the realm. For the health of the king is the help of the people, and until the Stuarts are restored and Roman Catholicism restored to the land. No, just kidding.
They had no choice.
I'm sure the Archbishop of Canterbury will be happy. She'll be happy to submit to Rome.
I mean, that's the thing. There's still survivors to the Tudor lineage there too. There's still Plantagenet lineage over there, and it's like, how did you guys end up in the House of Hanover? I mean, it's like, how did that happen? But if you look at it, it was very strategic and it was well planned. And it's funny you're saying England is our friend, but I don't think England, its current state, is not our friend. And I think a lot of what we're seeing is bouncing back on England. You're starting to see a pushback on England. Why? Because of the banking systems. And again, the banking systems are literally and when I say the apex of all of our problems, I'm not playing.
Exactly.
They really are. I mean, they do nothing but generate war. They generate hatred. They generate classes. All of these things that come out of the way the banking system works. I was laughing.
Nobody likes
I was laughing because we were talking about Claude AI, the Anthropic AI.
Oh yeah.
And I was laughing because I'm seeing all the things that Claude is doing right now. And I had to actually post on my Facebook because I am not a fan of AI, but I was like, okay, as much as I really, really am biting my tongue saying this, I'm loving Claude right now because Claude is actually hitting every single company and every banking system that has been causing problems for the last 30 years. IBM, CloudStrike, I mean, you name it. Claude is in there. And I'm like, there's no way this is not planned. It is 100%. This is an action. This is technical warfare, basically. And you're seeing it play out. People are just not recognizing what they're looking at. It's like, you've got CrowdStrike. You've got all these things that are having massive issues right now. Well, what's the problem with CrowdStrike? Well, CrowdStrike was responsible for the 2016 fiasco with the DNC server. CrowdStrike hid all their records and files on the servers in Ukraine. Why would we have a problem with that? Because why do you think Donald Trump was on the phone with Zelensky when he first was in office and he got impeached for that?
Yeah.
Because he knows where everything is. We know that CrowdStrike was in Ukraine. We know that Smartmatic and Dominion were in Venezuela. I mean, it's not hard if you are actually keeping track of things. And that is the biggest problem American society has. We are like, most of society here is so short term in their memory, they can't remember if they passed gas 10 minutes ago. I mean, it's really ridiculous.
They would have to be focused all the time, and they're not. They come in and out, they bebop in and out, and so they lose track of what's going on.
They're not focused. They're angry. I mean, Americans are angry at each other, at everything. And I think it's because a lot of them are starting to figure out that as taxpayers, we've been had. We have been had. I mean, we have been abused, used, raped, left for dead, and kicked while left for dead. And not only that, but those people that have been doing that to us are demanding more. And it's like, yeah, no, I'm sorry, back off.
And they get more in. From the perspective of Britain, those people are getting more and more and more and more of our taxes.
Yes, you guys. Listen, Mark. I feel very bad for British citizens. You've not only lost your sovereignty, you have nothing in backup. Okay, so in other words, as you guys age out, the health system you have over there, it is not sustainable. It's not been sustainable for a long time. So y'all are busting your butts, and you're not going to have anything when you get there. You're not, and it's going to be horrible. And then you've got 1.5 million immigrants that are now draining your system. I mean, your immigrants are in positions of the greatest power you've got over there. You've got them they're in your government. It's
They've
insane.
been betrayed by their government.
But depending on what happens, in the next, let's say 5 years, if not before, we could see a change in that. But yeah,
I think we already are.
Yeah,
I think you're seeing a lot of
angry. Are people getting angry over there in England for what's happening?
Have you not seen the riots? Have you not seen?
No, because our press does not carry it.
Yes.
Have you not seen the alternative news? British alternative news? GB News. GB News, not really
we do. I see it because I have British friends, and British friends are sharing videos all over. Like Telegram is a wonderful resource when it comes to that, because you can talk internationally and you're sharing everything real time. So, people are posting stuff on Telegram, and even like I've noticed even Facebook is they change their algorithm out whenever there's something going on that they don't want us to see, like Israel. When Israel, they've been rioting and everything else over there. I mean, their main population is not really happy with Bibi, and we don't see that over here, because like I'll see it for a minute, and then all of a sudden the algorithm will switch out, and I can't find it anymore.
Like South Park, and it's gone.
And it's gone, exactly. And it's because they don't want people going against the agenda they want us to see. And the more they're pushing that at this point, the more obvious it's becoming. I mean, like, okay, so the Iran thing. We have the Gerald Ford that limped into port in Crete. Full, like, basically a floating toilet limped into port over in Crete. And I had heard about a week ago that they were having bad problems on the Ford, and I had heard why. And I love the fact that they're making fun of this, and it is funny if you think about it. I wouldn't want to be a sailor on that ship, but it's funny. But the reason that happened was because they had changed out the bathrooms on the Ford. At the end of the Biden administration, they had gone through and retrofitted and taken out most of the urinals and put in basically gender-friendly bathrooms, which were all toilets. That does not work well on a closed septic system. I can tell you right now, that means a lot more toilet paper going into those pipes. And it was a ticking time bomb. It was just a matter of time before there was a big problem with the plumbing. And I was laughing because I'm like, you think this is a coincidence that this is happening now? That somehow the Ford can't partake in invading Iraq or Iran or whatever the hell they think it's going to happen over there? That's not going to happen. We're better staged to invade Mexico right now than we are Iran. Seriously, we don't. Yeah, all of our forces are over there. I think it's a look over here, not over there. Because again, the way I see it is the way our equipment is, where our equipment's at over there. It would not be an overnight command. Go ahead, and it couldn't be, especially if it's done by air.
What
The
about
most they
in
could do is maybe
Britain?
drones.
When they
I
dropped over
mentioned,
all those, they dropped over all those planes that had, big planes over in
Oh
Britain.
yeah, it
Oh,
was like
yeah,
the C-117s. They had a
Yeah.
bunch of them. Yep.
Isn't that for refueling?
I don't.
yeah,
There's
mainly. That's what.
The
One,
problem
just,
is,
there's
just
going
on
to be
sorry,
go
just
ahead,
on the
Rafi.
point of ground forces in Iran, and I mentioned this in chat before we started. I cannot see sort of massive ground forces in from the US or from any so-called allied nation. You've got the civil war that's happening in Iran at this present moment. B, where it's situated, and the issues and the issues of the 2010s and 2000s in relation to the allied forces and
Oh, he froze. You know what? I'm kind of glad you froze, Mark, because I've got to take us out to break here in a minute. He's still frozen. That's kind of sad. I wonder if
Perfect
Britain
timing.
cut him off. All right, guys, hang in there. I'm going to take us out to break while we try to unfreeze Mark. He's scratching his neck while he's frozen. Hang in there, guys. We will return with the Vixen's Vault in just a few minutes.
All right, we're on radio break.
Poor Mark, he's still frozen.
That's all right.
Oh no.
Rafi, what were you going to say? Because I know you were going to say something. I want you to say it when we come back on air.
Yeah, it's basically there's some tactical limitations that Trump's going to face going forward, and that's basically the range of the F-35s is limited. The problem that they have is that the missiles have enough range to reach the aircraft carriers, which means they've had to park them much further out. Problem is that the range of the F-35 does not allow for them to make that round trip without refueling in between. And even then, they're still having to rearm. They're going to have to refuel just to get back to the aircraft carrier to rearm and top off again.
And we don't have our
saying?
refuelers. Yeah, we don't have our refuelers over there right now either. That's a very interesting thing to note, that we have very few refuelers over there. So it's
Not the planes, not those
Pardon?
planes that we dropped over in Britain. They can't perform that
No,
function?
the ones that they were flying out over Britain were like the C-117s. They were the big, they were like the
Cargo
equipment
carriers.
carriers. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Okay.
cargo craft.
So
and again, they're going back to is, the weaponry that we have deployed right now are from yesteryear's wars. They're already antiquated by today's modern warfare tactics. I mean, and the thing is, though, Russia and those aligned with Russia, like Iran, they knew that. They knew that it was cheaper and more, it was cheaper to do ballistic missiles than to try and maintain a fleet of aircraft, and everything else can get shot down and have to be refueled, and the pilots have to be trained, and all those limitations, when they can just do ballistic missiles and cover the entire region without having to
Launch.
without having to have platforms to launch it and maintain.
I thought it was very telling too that we evacuated our embassy in Beirut, but we did not evacuate our embassy in Iraq. which to me, if I was going to evacuate an embassy, I would be doing Iraq before Beirut if I was planning on going into Iran. To be very honest with you, it's closer. The proximity is much closer. So I thought, oh, that's okay. That's interesting. Why did we do Beirut?
Yeah, they can't let go of Iraq. I mean, the problem is that it was dicey to begin with. The problem is the Iraq is mostly Shiite. There's a lot of cultural exchange and economic exchange between Iraq and Iran. And as it is right now, it's looking like Iraq's going to align with Iran. So,
well, that's what I'm saying. There's some interesting things here, Rafi. I mean, you've got that. You had Bibi last week basically alluding to a nuclear bomb going off here in the States if we don't invade Iran. And then you had Trump responding with England having to worry about a nuclear bomb. And I'm like, I'm watching this exchange going, wow, way to fight a war by not saying what you mean.
That's the veiled threat. Those are the veiled threats. And the problem is people don't know about the Samson option. And that's what really concerns me. And here's the thing, if I were Trump and I was part of the Q plan, or I was trying to, save the world from the damn Zionists, I would pretend to be get ready to invade Iran, but instead, I'd nail Israel. I'd sink every one of their submarines so they can't launch.
Yep, and blame it on Iran.
Well, and they have to have a scare event, for the thing that's coming forward. So, they got to have something out there to look like.
And here's your countdown.
Thank
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you're back live and on the radio side right now.
And we are back. And, it's funny because we have not been rejoined by Mark Edworthy. He apparently is having issues with the undersea cables and cannot get back on. I'm assuming that's what's going on.
They
I hate when that happens.
They got tired of his shit, is what it was.
Oh, no, that's not true.
But again, I think it's interesting.
He didn't obey the terms of service.
There you go. Oh, I would hate for that to be true. But again, I mean, you're seeing things. Like I said, I've been saying it for a while now. It's not what you think. What you're seeing on the news, what you're hearing, you have to kind of look at it differently and say, well, what's been accomplished? And that's kind of what I do. I sit back and go, okay, so Trump says this, and the opposite happens because so many people hate Trump. Like literally, they will eat their own arm out of hatred.
Yeah.
So you see a real exercise in reverse psychology. It's like a morphed form of reverse psychology mixed with the Hegelian dialectic. That's what I'm seeing, literally. And I'm like, he does it every time. Like they are so stupid, they fall for this every time.
They do.
Well, what you guys call politics today was commonly termed as spin back in the day. See, it's like everybody, like you can't listen to either side. It doesn't matter if it's mainstream media or alt media. It's all spin.
That's kind of what I'm saying though, Roger. You've got to kind of stop listening to the news, stop listening to the politicians, and just watch what happens.
Research.
And that's kind of not even research. Watch what the results are, because the results are what count. And that's what I keep saying. People are going to hate Trump no matter what he does. And I said that over and over. He made himself a target. He did it intentionally. And you can tell he's done it intentionally because he's saying things that we all know he does not, it doesn't fit his pattern at all. It's way outside his pattern. So it's like, why would he do that? And then you see the result. And you're like, oh, that's why he did it. Okay, I get it now. With Bibi, I kept trying to tell everybody he's not a fan of Bibi. He is not. It's historical. I mean, literally, he is not a fan of the Zionists at all.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, gotta wait and see how this turns out.
That's why Israel's left for last.
Well, see,
Well, it wasn't.
he's got to walk a tightrope though. He's burned a lot of bridges that he has to mend, or he's trying to mend, and now he's got to actually walk a tight line. You know, there's things that you can't get on national television and say, like, you can't say 60% of your constituents are idiots. You know what I mean? On national television.
No, you can't. But it's funny because I think people are starting to figure that out. I mean, it's kind of like, with the shootings. Okay, we had 2 shootings in 2 weeks, both of them trannies. Or no, 2 shootings and 1 attempted assassination. Again. And actually, all 3 of them are trannies. And it's like, okay, so how many times is this going to happen before y'all figure out that something is wrong? Whether it be a Manchurian Candidate type situation, whether it be something in the psychological programming, I don't know what it is, whether they're being encouraged or paid, I don't know. But if you don't see the pattern, there's a big problem.
I can tell you one thing, there's something weird about these last few shootings, and like there's something that's going on that the general public's not being told.
Yes, I agree. I 1,000% agree.
It was nice of Trump to point out the Democrats, like what their agenda, by them setting them up and having them not stand up for Americans and all this kind of thing. I mean, that was helpful.
Well, no, but all that did was just push forward again that the hatred has made them stupid. And I kept saying, they say hatred blinds you, but it also makes you really stupid. You don't think correctly when you hate something that much. And that's the truth. You become monofocused.
They fell for
it. But again, to sit there and even like the Medal of Honor recipients, it's hurtful to the entire country when you have seated government positions, people who are paid a salary by the American people, sitting on their tufts and looking, with their noses up in the air. These guys, it doesn't matter what your politics are. These guys gave blood for this country, for them, for us, for our children. It doesn't matter if it was right or wrong.
You're assuming they
they're all part of the same political party, though. It was the same one. Those same people.
They're all trying to take down the government. What makes you think they care?
That's it.
I personally don't feel like there's a left and right anymore. If you look at it from a neutral point of view, you'll see that where one person isn't able to do a certain job, another one is put in his place to do it.
Yep.
Okay.
It's all planned.
We know that, but the rest of the normies didn't. The rest of the people didn't.
Well, here's the thing. They're kept busy with stupid platforms and stupid agendas, really petty stuff, very childish if you actually think about it. It's childish stuff. Oh, your 4-year-old should have the right to choose what sex they want to be. Who on any planet thinks that's a good idea? Really? And yet they fight it. They fight it tooth and nail, and they'll start with the race card. They'll start with the sex card. They'll throw down every card that has been carefully crafted for the last 50 years to try to shut you down. And the problem is normal people don't want to even engage with people like that.
Well, it gets even more intense than that, though, because you think about it, okay? You start talking about sex education for little 6-year-olds, and all of a sudden that pisses off the freaking housewife. That pisses off the female who's taking care of their little daughter, and they don't want to hear that stuff in their school system. So all of a sudden you have housewives and you have freaking single women and couples, period, pissed off about it. Now you got a movement going on. Okay.
Yep. Then you have also like the school. I've been saying it for years. The Department of Education, the school boards have way too much power. Mm-hmm. They do not. They do not have any right to suppress parental rights. Yet they do it day in and day out.
And that's what the person said about giving money. You said all you're doing is giving money to these programs that are pushing kind of thing.
Yes.
From the Department of Education. That's what the union
Just on a
going
wider
toward.
point on this, this goes back to the my long march through the institutions arguments. After all, where does it come from? It comes from colleges. It comes from academia.
Yes.
It comes from you create your teachers to parrot this rubbish. And they will power to then instill the rubbish into the students. The
But what
other
makes
point
it
is
no,
the old concept of the state becoming the parent.
yes.
Yeah.
Nanny state. A nanny, we call it a nanny state
Well,
here.
it takes 20
Okay.
years to subvert a society. So you have to start at the age of 6, because if that's right when a child is starting to develop and be able to think. You see,
Yeah.
so you
Yep.
start at the age of
Reason.
6 and you subvert them until they're 26.
You know, it's interesting because, and I know Mark, Wachowski will remember this, and I know Rafi definitely will remember me saying this, but I can put it all the way back to like 1999, when my son was in kindergarten, and I had it out with his school. Like, I threw down with his school because his kindergarten teacher was telling the kids, kindergarten, to go home and tell their parents to vote for Bill Clinton. And I will never forget my son with his big doe eyes. Mom, are you voting for Bill Clinton? And I was like, when horses actually fart rainbows, will I vote for Bill Clinton? And I looked at him, I go, where did you hear that? Because I did not talk about politics in my house. My kids were little. I was a single mom. There was no place for it. Their minds are nowhere near mature enough yet. And he says, well, Miss Chadwick said it. And I was like, excuse you, me? Pardon me? Your teacher said it? Well, yeah. Oh, nope. My ass was up at that school 7 o'clock in the morning, next morning, in the principal's office, demanding to know why my child was any kind of politics were being discussed in my child's classroom, because it had no place. And that was in 1998, guys. That was years ago. Years ago. Oh, no, it had to be earlier than that, because it was Bill Clinton.
Rogue teacher? Was that just not a rogue teacher?
No,
going beyond the remit.
No, because I can still remember that they were like 2 years after that, the kids were being told that they wanted to protest the conditions of the school, and the teachers were showing them how to do that. And I had another massive cow at that point, because I was like, time and place. We don't teach elementary age kids how to protest. That is not acceptable. That's not your job. I am not paying you to be here to do that.
If I remember correctly, in the UK, there is I think it's the 1996 or 92 Education Act. I think it could be 96 Education Act, where it states that teachers, educationalists in primary, secondary, or further education cannot espouse political views.
Well, you guys are actually having bigger problems with that than we are over here.
Yeah.
I mean, because your teachers are a hot mess, and our teachers are a hot mess too, but at least we do still have some rational teachers, and I feel bad for them because they're stuck in a school system that sucks.
We've got rational teachers. I can think of a few myself, actually, in further education now. We've got rational educationalists. Again,
the problem though, because you guys
situation. Yeah.
You guys have you have regulations that go from top down, okay? And just like here in the United States, we have the federal school system, and then we have it breaks all the way down. And I've always said, and I still believe it, and I'll say it again, I don't think that parents or students should be forced to go to school. I think that if a parent really wants their kid to go to school, they need to be the ones to enforce it. Get your butt up and go to school, or I'm going to put my foot up your butt. And that's it.
Yep, it shouldn't be something that's a law. I'm with you on that, Roger. I'm with you on that.
I sort of agree, but I agree on the point of education. But I also appreciate that there needs to be a level playing field when it comes to what we used to call the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yes.
So yeah, there has to be a certain level of education there.
Well, I know, like, okay, but there was always a certain level of education 100 years ago, Mark, and they were not forced to go to school 100 years ago, not in the States at least. And there was always a certain level because they couldn't become gainfully employed and live their life if they couldn't do certain things. And that, I mean, it was taught by their parents, their grandparents, families stuck together, and they taught each other. Generations taught each other. We don't see that anymore. I mean, I think my family is a little bit unusual. I don't know if Rafi agrees with me or not. His family's kind of the same way, where, you know, my kids know the generations going back. They knew their great grandmother, they know their grandmother, they know me. I mean, we all stick very close by. I mean, my mother had multiple children. Not one of us lives more than 20 miles away from her. No joke. We all the cousins know each other.
You've just raised a really sort of interesting sticking points, all about the sort of the so-called 2.4 family sort of unit thing.
Yep.
Well, you know, before you guys move in, let me also point something out too. There's a lot of fear that people are being pushed. It's being pushed on people because, okay, I want to use the draft as an example. Okay, this goes with kind of like the school system and forcing people to make their kids go to school and kids. Okay, they've got this fear, like Mark's pointing out, where we have to have our kids learn math and reading and all that stuff. And there's this whole fear that if we don't have these regulations, they're not going to learn that. And when we ended the draft here in the United States, everybody pushed that same kind of fear. They're like, oh, people aren't going to join the military and we're not going to have a standing military. And you know what? Our military is better now without the draft than what it was when it was being enforced.
Well, and it's funny because it goes counter. Certain things go counter to other things. Like you have the push for AI right now. One of the problems I have with AI is AI stymies human intelligence in a lot of ways. When you have something doing something for you that you are capable of doing, but you're too lazy to do, that's a problem.
Takes away.
I've always said that. It's a
creativity is what it takes away.
I love AI. I mean, I've heard word around town that there's these little Japanese girls who are like talking a lot of crap on John Galt and Bullhorn Barry and Gary. That they've been saying a lot of really horrible things about frickin' them, and they said that Jack was a merman.
Merman.
That's totally untrue and stuff that you made up, Roger. You know it. All right?
I love
That's
that.
no different than my story about
the midget Viking.
Fire axe, all right? No different. All right? No different.
It's out there. I mean, I'm serious. It's true.
Okay, if you believe it, I guess it is.
I also heard a story of this guy in Canada who tried to eat an entire busload of people on a Greyhound bus with plastic silverware.
Oh, God. I don't even know where to go with that. Where do I go with that? Where do I go with that?
It was in Canada.
Oh, my God. Roger, you're being very random.
Fake news.
But again, I mean, it's systemically a problem. It is. I mean, and what are we going to do? We're going to end up in a position where you're going to have AI teaching our children.
Mm-hmm.
And, the problem I have with that is AI it's kind of like everything else. Garbage in, garbage out.
Uh-huh.
AI is a slave to whoever is putting the information in. If the person putting the information in has an agenda or is an idiot or anything else, what comes out is going to be the result of that.
Something
And
that I have been, sorry, something I've been talking about in the last couple of days is that David Lammy, the Minister of for Justice and Deputy Prime Minister in the UK, wants to push for what is being called swift justice, i.e., allowing or using large language models within the process of court proceedings.
Well, you can't go there.
No. Here's the thing. Okay, AI, I think, would be wonderful. You could replace the Supreme Court with AI.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it could interpret the law directly by the language it was written by. If it's programmed correctly
to do that.
Yes, if it was programmed correctly, it could do that. And it would speed up the process for all the court cases that go to the Supreme Court.
And see, that
so we do not need extra members on the Supreme Court. We just need to replace them all with AI and take away the salaries, other than what it costs to take and keep that AI going.
Now, see, this actually helps out with the conversation that me and Mark has been having. Okay, now Mark, he gets annoyed with AI because he believes that this is old technology that's just been rebranded.
Some of it is.
Yep.
And I actually been doing a lot of research into this, and I found out that this goes beyond just AI. This is actually about the computer itself. Okay, the computer itself has from the beginning been modeled to where it is supposed to function according to the way the brain functions. Okay.
Right.
Now, whenever they come out with a lot of this AI, it goes all the way back. I remember when I was a kid watching an old show called Riptide, where there was this guy on there. He's called the Boss. He was a computer nerd, and he had a little robot that was on a boat that he was always trying to program, and he's constantly talking about AI. So the term AI has always been there. It's just now it's gotten faster, more complex, and I think that's the thing people are going to have to worry about. It's not the fact that it wasn't there.
Oh, come on! They had that in Tartaria and Atlantis. Come on, they have all that.
And it's not just that. What we see in use, okay, like ChatGPT 5. I mean, even Anthropic, Claude. It's not artificial intelligence. That's what kills me, is that everybody keeps calling it artificial intelligence. I'm like, no, that is not what this is. This is just really fast processing. This is not artificial intelligence. This thing does not think for itself. It's doing what humans do naturally, which is called pattern matching. It's taking information and pattern matching, which our brain actually does at a much faster level than the current AI does.
But
we're just stupid.
Bullhorn brought something up earlier that I think needs to be discussed with this stuff, and it's the dopamine loop. Every time I bring this up, everybody tries to avoid it, but they don't understand what's actually taking place when you sit in front of your computer and you play with ChatGPT. What's happening between the brain and the freaking ChatGPT is it's the chemistry, it's the dopamine within your brain.
Yep, you get dopamine hits all the time, every time you use it.
So it becomes what? An addiction. Let's be really freaking honest.
That's what it
is.
I've
been playing around with Google Gemini recently, and the amount of times I've criticized it and corrected it. But you're right, Nancy. Would you call, let's say, a database query artificial intelligence?
It is queer.
An SQL query for
an
example. No, but it's it's the same thing as a lot of these LLMs are doing. It's pattern matching.
And the thing is that it's been around a long time, Mark.
Right.
I mean, our military's been using it for decades. And like I said, I always say that we get the scrappy, crappy leftovers that they believe they can utilize to control us. And AI, with the way it's going, it's going to have control. I mean, whoever controls the AI is going to control us. That is the truth. And it's nothing. I don't understand why people aren't standing more on their heads. Maybe because they're lazy and AI makes them look more productive when actually they're less productive, which it just blows my mind because it's like it's not your work. It's not.
One thing that a lot of people get confused with, and I point this out all the time, the term artificial intelligence is being overly used at the moment. It's just a marketing party trick.
Okay,
really.
let me point something out to you
People are
too.
getting confused.
We you remember why we ended Tech Talk, right? It's because I actually got serious about the freaking conversation and did the work on the research. And when I started discussing important things, which Nancy actually mentioned before too, parsing trees. Okay, when you start, do you really want to be that guy that's having to do all of that manually with code? Do you really? I remember that last episode we had. Your face turned solid red, and your head was about to explode. And Tan has yet to, 2 times so far, come back onto a show to do a show with us because of that one episode about
I'm not a DBA. I'm not a database administrator. I don't deal with SQL that often.
But it's annoying.
Would you want to? I think the question would be though, would you want to?
Would you want to do it?
Yeah, I'll set up a let's say a Gluma or WordPress or something site and use
word parsing
and modify the SQL slightly, but I'm no DBA.
What about
and nor would I want to be.
Mark, word parsing. Would you want to do word parsing manually?
I wouldn't. I'll be really honest. No.
That is horrible. Okay.
No more tedious a job could you possibly have.
Yeah, that's why people use computers now instead of slide rules, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Isn't that the truth? But again, what is being lost? And I think that's my point with this whole thing. Our kids already have a hard time with intellectual thought and intellectual conversation. They cannot intellectually think.
Well, and that has to do with, if I might interject here,
about go for it.
Reading. Remember how when our teachers used to read to us, read stories to us? Okay. Now, the images, when you're listening to that, assuming everybody's listening, they're coming up with their own images in their minds based on, their experience. But if you're getting it from a computer, the computer is providing the images there.
Correct.
And you are not. And that is where the problem is that because the people themselves are not coming up or drawing from their own experience, their images in their mind of what's going on. Because, and if you compare it to the kids who are, learning off of computers provided with computer graphics and that, so they don't think of it on their own. They're not using what Nancy just said. They're not using their own intellect.
Okay, guys, I got to hit pause because I got to take us out to our long break for the evening. So hang in there, Mark. I know you got something to say. You can say it when we come back up on air. Hang in there, guys. We'll be back with the Vixen's Vault after probably a really fun and very conversative break. We shall return.
On time as well.
All right, we're on radio break, and we'll probably lose the room in a minute. All right.
Yeah. When I saw your finger go up, I was like, "Oh crap, he's going to try to rebut." No, I can't. There's no time.
I was just going to agree with Vicky. This is. I've always been a big fan of text-based adventure games. So what would be called interactive fiction these days, and same thing. At least text-based, you only see lines of text. You find a door, and you've got a key, unlock door, sort of thing. That allows for the imagination.
Yes.
Ironically, I'm developing a game like that through freaking AI. So. Just to let you know.
Are we supposed to reset this room?
Yeah, the room was
gonna. I'm waiting.
Mark, do you want us all hang up and just start again?
Yeah, you guys. By the time all you guys hang up and that, I will restart it, and it'll be really good to go then.
All right. I'll be see you in a minute.
All right.
And just remember, Jesus
Folks,
is watching
this-
you, and
so is Gary. That's right. So is Gary.
Where is that coming from?
Just
Gary is our handler from Censorship Sucks, so he listens to all the shows. So
Oh,
he's
okay.
our AI handler. Not.
okay. Give it a second, and we will be back on there. I believe he's still.
Are we back on? Because I
No,
hung
we're not
up.
back on yet. I'm going to bring us
Oh.
back, and after I hang up,
okay.
I'm trying to,
Okay,
get us more time.
I'm gonna hang up then.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody hang up. All right, folks. That was hour one of the Vixen's Vault in Nancy's Legion of Chaos. And I'm going to bring her back up here in just a sec. Do, 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 do. 1, 2. There we go. There's David.
I'm back.
Roger. There you go.
I'm back.
There you
Hello.
Yeah, let's get Vicky back. Sonia is listening to us over in YouTube.
Oh,
And I believe Gary is too. And probably his wife. In a long time. It's been a while, but hey, let me switch us back over on on OBS. So, there
Hey
we
Nancy,
are.
hey
and sunny.
Nancy, thanks for that link on Facebook about the disclosure if they ever release it.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because, with all that happening, you also had at the same time, the Black Vault, the UFO Black Vault run by John Greenwald went down. Their server went down. And it was really interesting because everybody panicked. And I was watching people post because I knew that was going to happen. Peter Robbins was panicking. Everybody said, oh, he was hacked because of the disclosure. And I'm thinking, I don't think so, because John is really good about coming up quickly and telling you what's going on. And sure enough, within like 24 hours, he had posted that he was not hacked. His server died. and he had backups of everything, so not to worry.
Oh,
But
good.
I did find Go ahead.
Just to let you know, I did change your music up. I got like Pleiadians from from outer space with bare feet, hard calves.
See, that's why he's coming up with good quality
yours.
stuff.
Yeah.
Mark, did you go up there and record it personally?
Dude,
yeah, sure,
dude,
through Suno.
He has just turned into like this crazy madhouse of insanity, dude. Some of the stuff he's been coming out with, like I did one with
I saw.
Oh my god, that one with Fairy Tale
Daycare. That was actually Fairy Tale Daycare was actually a Paranormal Parodies skit that I changed into a tune. All right.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Along with Urens. Remember Urens?
Mm-hmm.
It's for aging monsters, like Bigfoot. But Urens, it's reversible, so so it cuts a lot down on the recycling. So all they have to do is shake it out in the woods. They don't have to squat or anything.
I created a part 2 to Fairy Tale.
Yeah, you made it. You made it.
It was extramarital
affairs. I'm telling you, when you make stuff for me,
for people with
you change stuff, it's like
it's good
listening to frickin' Tiny Tim tiptoeing through tulips. Oh my God, Roger!
I have decided that Roger and Mark Witowski have way too much time on their
Chick,
hands.
Dude.
like the razor,
That,
Nance.
I've come to that conclusion.
Dude, like what I did is I took fairy tale daycare and I incorporated people with extramarital affairs who have to send
Oh my
their,
God.
who has to,
What the
He took a song I made about fishing for cryptids and turned it into Jackson Gay Mermaid. Right? And I was like, no, that is not going in my playlist.
well,
all right?
no, Jack
Yes,
wasn't
you
a
did.
gay mermaid. He jumped into the water and freaking he turned into a mermaid, and you were fishing trying to catch him.
No,
because you-
Okay.
Well,
Allow
I
me to
did,
cor- okay,
I did make.
Allow me
I
to
did
correct. If Jack jumped into the water and became a mermaid, he would be a tranny
a
mermaid, not a
merman,
gay
a
mermaid.
merman. It's a
So
merman.
let's just get let's get the terminology
Oh my God.
woke.
You guys are killing
Okay.
me. Roger's killing me, man, with this
But-
AI
But
music
the
stuff.
good thing of it was it started out about it was a little Japanese girl that was singing it in
No,
Jack's song
no,
about her going into
no,
the water and then an
no,
octopus ate
no,
or stole
no.
her clothes.
Roger, no,
Oh
No.
God.
And then
Y'all are
the
gonna get
shark.
arrested. I'm
And then
telling
the
you,
shark.
it's gonna happen.
And then the shark ate the octopus.
Anyways, 30 seconds.
Oh, I don't even know where to go with this. Like, y'all are scrambling my
No,
brain.
I'm gonna give us another 2 minutes. Forget that.
Well,
Thank you.
well,
thank
it
you.
evolved basically is what it is.
I was
Eventually,
gonna put on there the radioactive chicken thing, but I
I like
figured
radioactive
put,
chicken.
that's
I
actually
would rather
good.
I would rather play something like Antarctica the Buried instead.
That one
All right.
actually is going to be. Wait, no, that one's not. Which one was it you put on there about Atlantic or Atlantis?
Oh yeah, all the ones for Atlantis came out really good, and so I did one too. I took remember Space 1999,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
the show.
Mhm.
I loved that
Yep,
show
yep,
when I was a
yep.
kid.
That was a
Anyways,
good show.
I took the themes for that and ran it through, and I had it instead of the moon just breaking away, I had it breaking away because of the black sun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And how it'll never come back again.
You know, dude, it's so weird because like you talk about Space 1999, immediately I think of that, and then I think of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and all these things I remember from my childhood, and I remember watching them and thinking, I wonder if 1999 is really going to be like that. I wonder if 2001 is really going to be like that. It's so epically
I wish it
disappointing.
would have been.
Hoverboards and flying cars, yeah.
I mean, literally, even the Jetsons. I wonder if we're ever going to get there. And although we are getting there, I mean,
Not really.
we're getting there.
Well, we got
But-
we got roughly 30 seconds.
They can't even
Wow.
drive on the roads, let alone in the air.
I'm actually
No
pissed
doubt.
off. I'm actually pissed off because of that. Okay, and I love to go on rants.
I'll send you some of the more you need to get in Discord, Nancy, because Roger and I share all our music there. Anyways, here's your countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you are back live and on the radio side. Hold on, right now.
And welcome back to the Vixen's Vault, Wednesday, February the 25th, 2026, 10:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, coming at you from the west central coast of Florida. Welcome back, everybody. Interesting break, as usual. I was, listening to bits and pieces of the shouting going back and forth about radioactive chickens and mermen that are actually mermaids and making fun of other hosts that are on this network. But it was interesting. We're just going to put it that way. And I'm glad nobody got arrested by the end of that conversation because that could have happened, really. All right, guys, welcome back
Especially
to
in
Vixen's
England.
Vault. Welcome back to the Vixen's Vault. And, one of the couple of things we touched on break is kind of what I opened the show with tonight, which was, of course, the disclosure that's supposedly going to happen. And I thought it was genius because, again, I've seen, I'm very embedded into the UFO community. I have a lot of friends in the UFO community, and it's kind of a divisioned community at this point. You've got a lot of people that I always thought were far to the left who are not and are seeing what I'm seeing, which I thought was really weird, that we were kind of syncing up on the whole don't believe it type deal, that when they do something like this, the government never, ever, ever does anything without a plan in motion. Ever. And if Trump is saying, I'm going to release the UFO files, and of course, every day you get an update, by the way. You get the Justice Department and everybody else saying they're going through it to declassify. Declassify? So what, is the whole damn thing redacted and you're going back and erasing the redactions? I mean, what? I'm trying to understand. What would be in there that you can't show us, really? I mean, national defense. So you're telling me there's a lot of technology in there that we have that you probably don't want us aware of. Okay, I get that. You do have to play that whole game when it comes to national safety and all that. But I, honest to God, think Trump is cock blocking again. And I see it all the time, and I say it all the time, and you have to excuse the expression, but it's the best expression I can think of for what I'm seeing. When he does that, if he releases those files, if he does release what we have as a government, basically whatever is in there, if there was a plan in motion, like when Barack Obama said what he said, the first thing that came to my mind was, oh yeah, here we go. They're going to try to pull a blue beam. Everything is lining up for a blue beam. You've got everything in motion right now that would 100% equal out to a blue beam event. And that would be a last measure for them. They've lost control. They've got to try to regain control. They've got to do a massive, massive scare move to do that. Blue beam, for anybody who's not aware of what it is, who never had heard of it, don't know what that plan is, they're going to believe what is done. They're going to believe it because we have enough technology to make it believable. That it's that simple.
Sorry, a couple of points on the redactions. Yeah, you've got national security, but also you've got data protection issues.
Correct.
Do you want to name every single civilian? Do you want to give addresses, names, and personal identifiable information out?
Well, the thing is, though, Mark, a lot of what's in those files are also in the MUFON files, and the MUFON files are open to the public. So those people who have come forward and given testimony or had experiences, 99.9% of the time, they report to an organization like MUFON first, and then it goes to the government. The government hears about it after the fact. So a lot of those files are already there. That's the thing that kills me. I mean, when it comes to civilians, most people who have an experience, if they don't talk about it, it's because they're afraid of losing their jobs or whatever. In fact, that is the case with most pilots, because I can tell you, I know several pilots, and I don't know any pilots who have not had an unexplained experience while flying. Not one. And can they go back to their jobs and say, hey, by the way, we had an unidentified object off of our wing, and it was really uncomfortable. And the only time that ever goes public is when the people on the plane are videoing it. That's when we find out. Yeah. Because those guys will lose their jobs, even though they are some of the most severely monitored workers in our workforce. To be a pilot, you are undergoing psychological evaluations every couple of months. I mean, it's not an easy job, and they should get paid what they get paid because they have got a very high bar they have to stay, to meet. And it's on a psychological level, it's on a physical level. I mean, when was the last time you saw an obese pilot? I'll be very honest with you. I have never seen an obese pilot. Why? Because they're regulated. That's why. In fact, it really pissed me off that we had obese people in the freaking military, but we don't have obese civilian pilots. The hell that makes sense, I'll never understand. But
I don't know, to check the UK. Yeah, I don't know if that's so true in Europe, but
it's true. Mainly, I think the problem would be they have to be able to fit in the pilot seat. So it would be a problem if they couldn't. They have to be able to pilot the aircraft. But I mean, again, like I said, there are going to be certain things that are omitted from, because people are not going to come forward because of job security. They can't. It was kind of like the situation with the Ghost of Flight 401. people came forward, but the ones who did I believe it was, if I remember right, which airline was that? Was it TWA? I think it was Trans World. They lost their jobs. The ones who actually went to the psychologists and the hierarchy within the airline lost their jobs. The ones who learned that if you talked, you lost your job started what was called the rag sheet, where they would write down what had occurred and it was circulating throughout the airline. And that was actually what won. The guy who wrote The Ghost of Flight 401 was his name. I forget his name. I want to say it was Fulton. But he won his lawsuit with the state of Florida against TWA because of that rag sheet. Because these people were psychologically under a microscope constantly, and yet they were 100% swearing and attesting to what they had seen. And one of those people was actually one of TWA's psychologists, who was, basically had heard all this rip roar and decided he was going to take a flight on an L-111, which was the plane that this concerned. It was actually all the L-111s in their fleet. Why? Because 401, when she went down in the Everglades, wasn't completely destroyed. And TWA, being an airline, salvaged parts from the aircraft and put it on other aircraft. And that results. Yes, it like the galley oven was put into another L-111. One of the ghosts in Flight 401 appeared on the L-111. So again, there is a history there, and it is one of the largest unsolved ghost mysteries that there is, because there were so many witnesses, really credible people.
Now, when it comes to the UFO thing, you got to kind of take what you guys were talking about there, and you have to look at what was the name of that incident in England where the guy said
Rendlesham Forest. That was Rendlesham.
Rendlesham Forest, okay? And I brought this up to Mark before, and they had, I think it was documents that they actually remitted from disclosure when they did their disclosure over in England. And it took them like 12 to 18 years, I think it was, before they released them. And when they released it, it was just garbage. It was just, clerical crap. So you held files back for 18 years because of clerical errors and mistakes or names. It's just completely.
It's a machine.
For 18 years, though, dude. Seriously?
Well, yeah, granted. But also, a lot of this would be clerical sort of information. He said this, therefore we filled in this form, therefore this form documents this, then that form documents that, then.
There's more to it than that, because it wasn't just Rendlesham Forest. We know the case as Rendlesham Forest, but it was Bentwaters. It was Bentwaters Air Force Base, which was what? What did it house? It was a nuclear facility. So, again, there was a lot of security that could not talk, it couldn't go public. And there was a lot of cover-up with that case. Oh, my God. Well, many layers of cover-up.
What about planetary defense in Europe? Okay, that's something that nobody even talks about, especially when it comes to the, the 3-Eye Atlas thing. A lot of people were making claims that we were going to be attacked by like a galactic aliens in 2025 and stuff. And then they started talking about planetary defense in Europe.
It was activated, by the way. In fact, the United States activated their planetary defense. It wasn't just Europe.
Wrote something about this during the Brexit days when the EU was threatening, or we were either EU were threatening us, or we were threatening the EU with reduction in money when it comes to the European space program.
Well, what I find interesting about this is that, again, something that nobody talks about, the actual center of the planetary defense is through what was Thule Air Force Base in Greenland. And I'm like, guys, I don't think you understand that it's not just a headquarters for our Space Force, it is planetary defense. And it has been for a long time. So, like I said, there's so much more going on that if you connect the dots, you're like, okay, so what are they going to disclose? Because something's going to come out. And I am a firm believer. I don't know necessarily if we've been visited by by objects or beings that have come in from outer space currently, but I do believe we do have civilizations living amongst us that are not human. 1,000% I believe that. I think they've interbred, they've intermingled with humanity 1,000%. And I think it's got. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, sorry.
No,
go ahead. I just said Nephilim.
Well, the Nephilim is just one
Please
example. It's just, oh, for the love of God. The Nephilim is one example. And the thing is that if you go cross-culturally, I mean, even the description of the Atlanteans, if you read the description of the Atlanteans, they did not sound human. They sounded more like what we'd call alien Nordics. I mean, it doesn't, or Pleiadians. It does not fit a human description. If you look at like South and Central America, some of the Mayans, some of the Aztec things, if you look at their descriptions, that's not human. The Native Americans are another group that have plenty of documentation of star people. Hello. And the description is not human.
No, you're gonna start getting me excited here. You know what I mean? Because like when it comes to a lot of that, you got to understand that who was the god that the Atlanteans worshipped?
Isn't that funny? I don't know that off the top of my head.
Poseidon. It was Poseidon.
No, it couldn't have been because that would have preceded the Greek.
Right.
Atlantis way preceded the Greek, so it couldn't have been Poseidon. Poseidon would have been the Greek adaptation.
Okay, now Atlantis was worshipped by Poseidon, and his children were the ones who ruled over Atlantis. Okay, so that's the gist of it. Now, if you look at these aliens would have been the ones that you hear about that came up from the water.
Right.
Okay, and Jack has been talking about these underwater beings for about 2-3 weeks now, and that's one of the coolest things that I freaking think people should be getting into. They should be thinking about that, what's going on down underneath the water and underneath the earth, because we're supposedly only able to dig 8 miles under the earth.
Right, flat Earth, right?
UWPs have been, the underwater crafts have been something in the UFO community for decades. In fact, we can tell you for a fact that there are most likely bases off the coast of California, off the coast of Mexico. How do we know this? Because for years, UFO investigators have been interviewing the farmers, especially on like the California peninsula there, where it joins with Mexico on the Pacific coast. The farmers down there have been saying for literally almost 60 years now that there are these like tic-tac aircraft that are coming out of the ocean under their cliffs. And I mean, it's crazy because you can find these interviews and they're in Mexican, and these are really simple people who have been like, oh yeah, no, they're there. They've been there. Generationally, we're aware of them. So, and again, actually the Nimitz situation, that was right on that area when that occurred.
I've got a major problem with that. An interview is not solid evidence.
No, but it is enough to warrant further investigation. If you were in a position of power and you really thought that there was something that is of much higher intelligence than you, off your coast, no less, I mean, would you or would you not, if you were in government, want an investigation done into that to find out? Because that's a national security issue, a huge one.
Who's to say there hasn't been an investigation? Because you haven't heard about an investigation.
But Mark, that's what I'm saying. For years, ufologists, and let me tell you, there's a lot of people who were in government who were in this field. And they will tell you there are documents, there are treaties in place that go back into the 1950s, 1960s. I mean, you had the whole thing with Dwight Eisenhower when he disappeared and supposedly met with aliens at Patterson Air Force Base.
Do you guys want me to mention some names? That way, if you want evidence, you can check it out. No, if you really
Again,
want to check this planetary defense thing that I was talking about, check into the Hera missions. Check into that was an international exercise between the
Did you
U.S.
say
and Europe.
Herod or Heron?
Hera, Hera.
Hera. Yep.
Okay, check into that. That was an international exercise that was recently done. And the thing about it is when you get into the Hera missions, you start noticing that it's a collaboration with NASA with their DART mission. Okay, and this is where they were doing research on kinetic study. They wanted to study the impact of like a kinetic impactor on like the binary asteroid system, Didymos. And this is kinetic technology that they're using, and they're using the excuse that they're doing it for Earth defense, to where they can deflect objects from coming into the Earth's atmosphere.
Yes.
But in reality, they're also using it to figure out what's going on under the water and beneath the soil. You know, that's my take on it. That's conjecture.
Well, I can tell you, you are correct in some ways. That I can prove that because I know somebody. I got to get him on the show. Rafi and I are good friends with a scientist. He's an MIT scientist, and he was actually, believe it or not, he was sent to Rendlesham Forest to test the soil from the event that took place there. And he will be very, very upfront and honest with you and tell you. In fact, Mark, you know him too, Matt Moniz. He is very upfront and very scientific when he explains to you what is in the soil there and how it definitely points to activity that is not from this planet.
Is it more radioactive? Radioactive, more radioactive than normal?
It's not just radioactive. It's not just that. It's different things that were found in the soil that don't match any elements from this planet.
That could be meteorites. That could be astral meteorites.
It doesn't. It could, but that area is not known to have been hit. So it's a problem, and it's right where the ship was seen by the soldiers. Actually, and the way the ship was. This is what really interested me with Rendlesham. When you actually look at so we're gonna go back to the Tale of Gilgamesh and say, okay, the way the quote unquote ark was described in Gilgamesh, which is different than what it's described of in the Bible. It's different measurements. And if you do the measurements of the Gilgamesh ark, it actually is like a cube. And if you go to the Rendlesham Forest and look at their testaments of what they saw, it's very similar to a cube. And then if you take that information and you put that in and you say, okay, so what would be the most expedient and safe way if you were going to travel interdimensionally? What would you want to be in? And the response is a cube. So I always found that really, really interesting because I always wondered, was the Ark a ship the way we think of a ship? Or was it something different? So again,
it's how they're gonna shoot the aliens down before they can make it into our atmosphere, like on Earth 2000, I think. No, it was that one where they were a defense force that was supposed to be able to defend our planet from aliens that were trying to attack us. It was before Earth 2000.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I think it was called Voltron or something like that.
No.
From days of long ago, from uncharted regions of the universe comes
when
that legend.
Television was still semi-innocent. Yes, I remember that too. All right, but guys, I got to take us out to our final break of the evening before Mark has a heart attack. Hang in there. When we return, we will continue this discussion. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Yeah, mostly with that.
All right, we're on radio break. You like that, didn't you? Days of long ago, uncharted.
Days of long ago, when television was still semi-innocent. It's funny because I still wake up every once in a while, like 3, 4 in the morning, and I hear G.I. Joe is there, G.I. Joe, and I my one eye opens.
The final
and I'm like,
frontier.
No.
These are the voyages.
Of the starship.
Where's the captain tonight? He isn't with us.
It's the 5-year mission to explore
Yeah,
strange new worlds, to seek
I
out
guess
new
he's on
life and new
furlough right
civilization.
now.
To
Scotty went
boldly
home.
go where no human has gone before. You notice the new Star Trek shows what really woke. We have a gay Klingon. How did that happen?
No.
I wrote a song about
Roger
that.
wrote that. Roger wrote
Say
that part in because
so.
he's so fascinated.
No, it's actually something
Yeah.
who was it? Somebody Naroki brought it up, I believe it was, and I was like,
Yeah.
really, dude? How can,
They're saying
dude?
there's a
You've
gay-
crossed
oh,
the line when you've made a
Star Trek
Klingon
word.
gay.
Well, not just gay. He's sensitive. Like, he's a gay, sensitive Klingon. I'm like, what?
No, I
what?
can understand a Romulan, all right,
Yeah,
or
right.
a
Of course.
Cardassian, all right, being kind of flamboyant, all right. But come on,
Not a
and
Klingon.
Gary is not gay. He's just flamboyant. He's a little metro, but hey. He doesn't turn us in anymore, all right?
He's gay. He's gay.
No, he's
He's
not.
got the hots. He's got the hots for another cadet. He's definitely gay.
Well, look,
But
at least the Klingon should be accurate, okay?
He's actually
Even
wearing a skirt in an episode.
oh, there goes Ralphie.
No.
I know Ralphie. Poor Ralphie, because we were really enjoying. We were really enjoying this new Star Trek. Really, it's well done. And I was like, I'm watching the last episode. I'm like, no, you cannot make a Klingon gay. I'm an original Trekkie, man. You can't do that. I have my limits.
that's
Well,
horrible.
you did see on the spin-off Star Trek of the original series, they did a spin-off of it where Kirk's brother was gay, and he had a thing for, and he did have a thing for Spock. Or something
What
like
was
that.
the other one? I don't know. I don't remember which Star Trek it is, but I think it's the Romulans where they had the married two big like warrior males, and they had a baby, and I'm like, I remember watching it and going,
Okay.
this is just so outside of anything normal. I can't.
See, that's
I
why
can't.
that's why people who are respectable Star Wars fans never freaking get involved with Star Trek because can't say that anymore because Star Wars has turned woke too.
It's just it's
It
horrible.
went-
Don't you think if it was
went way
like
off
that,
the
you would have shut up early?
They ruined Star Wars when
Yeah.
they didn't go by the canon. All right, the canon would have been Luke and Mara had twins. All right, and so did Leia and Han had twins, and those four were to start the new Jedi Order. But that didn't happen, and when Disney got involved, no. Whatever happened to the mention of Mara Jade, the hot redhead with the purple lightsaber?
Well, it's
It
funny
was
because
supposed to be Luke's wife, and she was
But-
the Emperor's hand. All right.
even Star Wars, the very first one, even if you watch Star Wars, you forget Luke and Leia kissed, and they're brother and sister.
But they
and I
didn't
was
know
like,
at the time.
Nobody,
no, they didn't know, but still,
nobody,
it's there.
Nobody understands the story behind that. Let me kind of break that down because I do know how that played out.
We're under 30 seconds, by the way.
Originally,
That was
they didn't know who the hero was going to be, so they had to choose a male or a female because the books don't distinctly call it out because they're born twins. Then after that, they freaking turn around and
All
decide.
right, and here's
to
your
make
countdown.
Leia
Not
the
enough time, Roger.
sister.
Bye-bye.
That's
5,
it.
4,
Disclosure.
3,
Disclosure.
2, 1, and Nancy, you are back live and on the radio side right now.
Okay, guys, our final segment for the Vixen's Vault this week, and I got to tell you, the break was wild, woolly, and fun as usual. And of course, I had to make my stand because my favorite sci-fi show, Star Trek. And guys, I have been a Trekkie since Trek came into existence. I have literally, my father had me watch it when I was really little. I've always loved Star Trek, and I'm watching their new one, which is was a Star Trek Academy, I believe.
Academy.
And I've enjoyed it. I've got to tell y'all, I thought it was well made. Ralphie's enjoyed it. we've been watching it, and then last week's episode happened, and they managed to make a Klingon gay. And I was like, folks, I know it may not be a topic. I couldn't believe. I just sat there going, "Are you kidding me?
No.
You cannot. You could have done this with so many other of the alien races on Star Trek, but the Klingons, the warrior race, and I think their message was you could still be a warrior and be gay. You can be. Yes, I agree with that. Obviously, we have a lot of soldiers that are probably in that direction.
I guess this is what happened. All right, they watched too many Errol Flynn movies about pirates. All right, and okay, what are you going to do when you're on a ship with nothing but guys? All right,
they're not. They're in an academy with lots of pretty girls.
I know, but still, that. I guess that's what they were thinking. All right.
Well, this goes back to the $1 billion question. Like, you know what I mean? It's like she was talking about, like, if you're stranded on a ship with other men and you're not there with women, or no, he said that, but like, okay, what happens if somebody says, okay, you get $1 billion if you take it up the butt?
No, we're not going there again.
No, like 20 years ago. 20 years ago.
Every week now, Roger. Come on.
Well, I mean, it's a serious question. It's a serious question. No, $1 billion is a lot of money. I already did.
Roger.
Actually. I already did.
What would I do for $1 billion? What?
That would be more Mark's line. He's into the hickerbilly, so that would be his music, and then I could change it to the way I like it, but I couldn't do the hickerbilly thing.
But again, it's one of these things where they took something that is, a beloved thing. Star Trek is beloved by the entire world, by a lot of people. Yeah. Something that's generational, and it was a good thing. It was you had your Kirk character. He's a flamboyant guy, but I mean, he was not gay. And I would have actually accepted that more than I accept this. But it's
not the
one of those
Band of Thebes.
Kirk not gay. I can imagine the next film.
I can't. I thought, what was this? Your stand? Was this your woke stand to take a race that would never happen in and under any definition, even if they were locked up for 100 years on a ship together? Would you ever find a gay Klingon? Would not happen.
It's suicide first.
Yeah, they would have.
They would have
become extinct.
Or battled each other, and said, and then ate the dead one, because, Klingons could be cannibals too.
Well, you got to think of the Klingon sex rituals, even with the women. It was like, beat the snot out of each other, have sex. Now, can you imagine that between two males?
Well, hold up now. Like, that's
Don't turn Roger on any more than he already is, all right?
The female...
You opened the door to this.
The female is supposed to be the brutal one, okay? And while she's brutal, the man is supposed to say poetry to her. So he's the one in the situation who's supposed to be the one singing poetry to the female while she's being mean and brutal and hostile.
So Sparta. Yeah, again, we've got the again.
Roger.
That's actually canon when it comes to Klingons. That's
he's right.
That is how they do it.
Yep. But again,
that's the weird part.
Of all the characters, you could have done that too. To do it to a Klingon.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, no. I mean, even Vulcans I can understand. Klingon, no. No, and no. No. And I almost don't want to turn the show back on.
It doesn't work with Vulcans either. Ugh.
Well, Klingon women wouldn't put up with it. Like there'd be a mass genocide of male homosexual Klingons, because those women Klingon just wouldn't stand for that stuff. Like,
but I don't understand the push to the agenda. That's what kills me. It's like, you know what? All right, we understand that there are people in our society that they feel that way, and that's fine. Keep it in your bedroom. That's all I ask. I don't go around walking around saying, I'm straight. No, I don't wear shirts that say I'm straight, screw me. I don't participate in parades where I'm walking around in BDSM clothing and basically with, no crotch.
I have to tell people that I'm straight all the time though, because like it's
oh boy.
Roger,
you're digging a hole.
No, I'm serious, dude. Like I get the chicks always making moves on me, and then like all these gay dudes are like always like, "Yo, dude, you're just like the coolest dude on the face of the planet."
Especially when they listen to your music, I'm sure.
Oh
but
yeah,
really, Roger,
they love that
really,
shit. They love
really,
that.
Roger. You're putting a target on your head, Roger. I'm just saying, the guys are gonna rip you to shreds.
Hey, now,
but
I'm gonna tell you something. A guy like me is a target all his life, dude. Like, they love it. They can't stop. They're like, "Whoa, dude, what's up?"
I am having a problem with this storyline, but okay.
I'm like having to tell dudes all the time. I'm like, "Man, look, I am straight," and then they like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm straight." And they start crying and stuff.
Well, I think what I think it is. This is what bothers me: is that society should not be focused on your sexuality. Okay, that is something that it's private. It should not be the focus of your society.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they have made it the focus of society. And again, to what ends? To what ends do you do that?
Because we're in Weimar 2.0.
Yeah. I've seen this progress over the last 40 odd years. There was a British comedian, Julian Clary.
I was going to say Betty Hill.
That was very famous in the 80s, who was a drag art, and he pushed the concept of sort of openly broadcasting sexuality. And it sort of slowly crept further and further into society since the 80s.
I don't understand it though. To what ends except to divide people? I mean, are they trying to break religious grasp? I mean, that's kind of how I see it. Like they're trying to go after traditional religious things because
pedophilia is what they're doing.
Well, that's a known. Like I saw
that.
Dude, I saw a posting the other day, and it was because
sexuality has been targeted for a long time, especially like here lately. I've been having to hang out with like Buddhists, like I told you, and like you don't talk sex to Buddhists, okay? Period. You know what I mean? Like, so
you had to get that in there. Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to watch how you talk to certain people, and like when you're sitting there talking to people, you need to realize you don't have sex talk with people who are Buddhists.
Because it doesn't. But I understand why. But I understand why, and I actually respect that.
Right.
Because again, it's about more. To me, life is about more than sex. It really is. It's when you focus on that being the only thing of importance, that's a big problem. You're not going to grow as a society. I can tell you that much.
You'll grow, trust me.
Well, you'll grow.
I'm sure you will. Men do from the day they're born until the day they die. But it's like,
I wasn't meaning it like that. I mean,
oh yes, you were, Roger.
I was meaning it like population wise, like I think especially with the sperm count being so low these days, it's like I think a lot of people need to be a little bit more educated to sexuality instead of being ashamed of it.
Take after me and Scotty Roberts, and you'll learn a lot.
Well, but again, that's
with you on the point of sperm count. I argue that it's more related to the lack of the family values argument, and also an increase in things like abortions over the last since the 60s.
I just don't think men want to have sex with women anymore. I think that's really what it comes down to. I mean, just shut your mouth and do it.
Trying to get to the minor attracted people. It's not a crime. It's a a thing, a mental preference.
You know,
That's what
it's
they're trying
Well,
to do with that. Shutting
okay,
out.
again,
education as well. It's this sort of boost. How do I put
you know
it?
what women used to tell men back in the day. They when it would come to making love, they told men to shut your mouth. Just everything would be perfect if you weren't talking, and that's the way it should be. See when men are supposed to be getting romantic, they need to shut their mouth and you just need to do what they're told.
And now we know why Roger does not have a girlfriend.
Usually men
crap.
screw up because they want to talk. When it comes to women, stop talking and just do it.
Roger, I don't know what books you read, but they're really misguided. Oh God. But
I
I
want
mean,
to talk
again,
to you on an intellectual level, whatever, dude. You know what's
God.
going on. We all know what's going on. Just do it and shut up.
But again, what you're seeing is a concerted effort of population culling. And it's been going on for at least 3-4 decades easily. You're seeing it in the food, you're seeing it in the pharmacy, you're seeing it in the education system. It is everywhere. And the end game is literally to cull the population growth. And
it's the juicies.
Yep.
Go ahead.
It's the juicies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. He's right.
I mean, it's if you I've said it before, guys, and I stick to my guns on it. When you look at the agendas right now that are being pushed, they're suicidal agendas. They're literally suicide agendas. Homosexuality, transgenderism. These are things that stop you from reproducing.
There's also a cultural element in this. In the West, there's the concept of let's just call it displacement theory. There's this idea that Europeans, dare I say, even white Europeans, shouldn't even, or white people, shouldn't have as many kids, whereas we're seeing in other demographics, it's encouraged to have more.
Well, here's the thing. You want to know a fun fact, Mark? And you can always rebut with this, and it's true. Look it up. There are literally white people, Caucasians, are an absolute minority in the world. We are a minority. There are way more black people than there are white people worldwide. And that is actually black people and Orientals. Okay, we are literally a minority. So the fact that they're trying to make that push that white people shouldn't reproduce, it's like, well, if we don't, we're not going to be around much longer. In the United States, it's already a problem, statistically speaking, because there's so much push of the Latin Americans into the U.S. population now. Basically, the white is being bred out of the U.S. population. I mean, I believe they said it was the current population mix right now is like 47% in favor of Latin American genealogy, which
They already
is
told us
crazy.
their plan. They already told us their plan. You remember?
Right.
You remember South Park when the gookbacks came coming back from the future to get jobs?
Yep.
For jobs. Okay, everybody was the same. It was just one big brown, whatever, no ears, no hair, no nothing. Everybody was just brown. And that's because everybody was intermingled. The only people that don't intermingle, though, are who? Who are forbidden from marrying and outside of their race or outside of their culture? The juicies.
Yes.
Whereas everybody else, all other social classes are basically wiped out in that manner.
Yes, which is why.
Isn't that the Kalargian plan or something?
Yeah, now I've actually done research with this with Mark, and like you'll hear a lot of people say that this was supposed to be implemented into European laws and stuff. It's mentioned a lot, don't get me wrong, but there's actually been no laws that even, because Jaffe was real big on always talking about the clergy plan.
Well, you know what? You want to hear something interesting and something I had told Rafi the other day. I was on a thread that was talking about David Fuentes, And Mark, if you're not familiar with David Fuentes, he's considered a white nationalist here in the States.
Yeah.
And he's a very polarizing figure. But he had made a claim about Trump basically being butt buddies with Bibi, and that was kind of, he was basically saying you're betraying your white roots when he said it. And I laughed because I was like, somebody needs to inform Mr. Fuentes that Bibi is white. In fact, all of the Zionists that are over there are white. They are Eastern European by descent. They are not brown. They are not black. They are white. There's no separation between white and Jew. They're white.
Okay.
They're Eastern European.
There is another element to this as well. The so-called old Reagan Thatcher sort of glass ceiling argument, encouraging it's controversial, encouraging women to join the workforce from an early age, therefore restricted or limiting their access to the sort of traditional sort of family.
Yeah, see, this goes back though. This goes back. Do you remember Father Knows Best?
Yep.
Now, Father Knows Best, the women who played on there was a part of a political movement here in the United States that supported the idea that women, there's nothing wrong with being a housewife. They actually would go down the aisles in Congress and hand out bread just to piss off the women in Congress who were progressives. You know what I mean? And they were around for a long time. So there's always been a woman war going on there when it comes to conservative women and progressive women.
The woman war started with World War II. And it's interesting because Rosie the Riveter passed away last week.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, she died last week. But it's one of those things where I always say that was a concerted effort to break apart the American family. When you put women into the workforce in place of the men, you gave them an elevation in status that doesn't work well in a family unit. Family unit, men is the breadwinner. Why? Because the woman is better at taking care of home and hearth. Naturally, we're born that way. We are born to protect children. We're born to make sure everything runs correctly. We're very good administrators. Why? Because we have to administrate the family. That has usually traditionally been the job of the female. They put them into the workforce.
Just a minor point. You said American families. I would argue that it's
most definitely
nice.
Yeah, you guys actually it went. You're right. It went all the way. Anybody involved in World War II, the women took over the men's positions in the workforce when the men went to war, and that had never happened before, and that needs to be pointed out. How many wars were fought over 1,000, 2,000 years that we know of? The wars are documented. When did the women ever take over the workforce for the men? They did not. They ran administrations for like homes and stuff like that. They always worked in the fields alongside the men. So that wasn't a takeover. That was just a continuation. But they never, ever had the power of the man. Like if the lord of a manor went out to war, his wife took over his household. Absolute fact. Did she have the power he had? Not unless he gave it to her.
No.
Not unless he deigned it upon her before he left, like Catherine of Aragon fought for Henry VIII. She led his armies in Scotland, but he had to give her that power to do it, and she was never the king. Ever.
And she had to give it back when he came back.
Correct.
Joan of Arc. Look at Joan of Arc.
The only difference is that in this way, the woman doesn't have to be dependent on the man. In a very bad situation where she loses the man, she's not destitute. If she has a job or she has something else, I mean, she's better able to protect if she has choices.
Those are bullshit myths. Those are myths.
No, I mean, no, it used to be where the women went out and she was getting her MRS degree.
It happened to my grandmother.
Degree,
it's
MRS
not a myth.
degree. So she's dependent on the man.
Yep.
And this way, she can.
They have to.
Support.
They have to be dependent on the man, so they don't do anything crazy when they have their emotional periods.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh.
Yeah, I
now you
said
will see what I deal with. Now
I
you guys
said
see
it.
what I deal with.
I
Yeah.
said it. That's the reason why
But
they
But you
filed
got to think about
70%
the
of divorces.
kids.
He
The
said
oh
children.
period.
God.
He said
If the
period. I can't
children.
believe that.
That's
You
the
got to
reason
think
why
about
they.
protecting
Oh,
That's the
children.
reason why they filed 70% of divorces.
Man, let me go grab
I
a
I
peanut
love
butter
I
sandwich.
love
Got to
when men say
protect the
that
children.
and they forget about the fact that they menstruate.
That's
Women don't
myth.
have
Well,
midlife crises like men do.
and
That's
if the
myth,
man walks out
actually.
on a woman, what are you going to do? I mean, she's left
Well,
in
it
We'll
a
see if
rock
it.
happened.
and hard place. She
It
can't
happened to my
protect her
grandmother.
children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My grandfather, my mom's father, died in the early 1950s. My grandmother was a young mom with 3 children. She had nothing. She put my mother in a convent and my uncles in the seminary because she could not afford to support them. And she got a job as an undersecretary for an engineer in New York City, which back then was unheard of, and had to work for pennies on the dollar
Right.
compared to her male counterparts. And it wasn't
That hurts
enough.
the kids. Yeah.
Yep, it wasn't
It
enough.
hurts the kids. Yeah.
But on the other side of that, my other grandmother was the first vice president of MetLife in New York City. First female vice president in history of that company. And that was in the 1960s.
Now, I also
So,
heard that women weren't allowed to own their own property.
no, well, you're going back to turn of the century.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
They
that.
weren't allowed to own their own property. They were not allowed to be buried. If they had a child, if they miscarried a child and died in childbirth, they were not allowed to be buried in cemeteries. They had to be buried outside of the cemeteries because they were considered unclean. Did you know that?
That wouldn't be in this century.
Oh, it was till literally the early 1900s was when that practice
Well,
stopped.
Yeah.
So
Good
there
old
have been
Yeah.
plenty
days.
of cemeteries where people had and their children had died, and
Oh,
even on
and
Yep.
if they did get
Ocracoke
buried at
Island,
the
when they were,
church too, if they
yeah,
did get
It,
buried at the
in
church
the
too, they
church.
got buried on the left-hand side of the
correct.
church.
Correct. There is a real schism
Believers that
there.
weren't members of the church got buried behind the church, and people who were part of the church that were believers got buried on the right-hand side.
Correct. But
She
with
died
that
And it
saying,
wasn't
guys,
uncommon. It wasn't uncommon back in the day where once in a while the priest, pastor, or reverend would have to go in those graveyards and flog those ghosts back into the graves.
That's right.
oh
in the
boy.
Catholic Church. Okay.
All right, guys. But I got to start closing out the show because we are running out of time quickly.
So much for
I think
getting
for the
winning
first
was.
time, I think I can actually get everybody to give their information because I've left enough time. So I'm going to start with Vicki. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you.
Okay, you can find me on Telegram. The channel is For Such Time As This, and on X at Booklander62.
Roger, go for it.
You can find me on mine's at Roger_Hanson. You can also find me on X at Roger Hanson or Roger Hanson at ROGLOL1973. Here on Teams, and I've got a community called Roger's Hangout, and that's about it.
All righty. Mr. Mark Edworthy from across the pond. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Nice and simple. Mine's it would be something if I could speak. Mine's.com under the username Medworthy.
And Raphael, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on Telegram or X at X_ICE_1811. And that's pretty much it.
All righty. And David Campione, who's been so cryptically quiet tonight. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have been. Under Facebook, David Champ, I have some nature photography there. And also Fine Art America, David Campione Photography. And on Amazon.com, the UFO Spacecraft Identification Manual. And
all right,
next,
guys. Go ahead.
Mark.
Sorry. Oh, I was going to say, Mark Witoski, do you want to tell everybody where you can find you?
You can find me on all the platforms that you're listening to us on right now. And look up Draegus Productions. And did we get Vicky already too?
Yep. I got Vicky at the very beginning, top of the list.
All right then.
All right, guys, and you can find me on Facebook as Nancy Planetta or Wiccan Vixen. Either one will pull up my account. On X, I am Writer on the Storm or Writer on the S because it cuts off the TORM at the end for some reason. And then, of course, on Telegram, I am Wiccan Vixen, and I am on multiple channels. And really, Roger, are you singing? Seriously? All righty, guys. With that, we are out of here for the week. Enjoy the rest of your week and hopefully your weekend. And, of course, keep your eyes open. Next week, we are supposed to have the Artemis 2 launch. I think they scrubbed it on March 6th, but they're trying to get it up next week at some point. So keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and don't listen to the news. Do your own damn homework, folks. With that, we're out of here. Join us next week for the Vixen's Fault.
Nancy.
Yeah.
You want to do an after show?
No, actually I don't, because I am like exhausted.
Sounds good.
Been a pretty rough week, man.
Oh, it's been a crazy week, dude. It's been. I mean, Rafi will tell you, I have been nonstop go.
My head feels like it's ready to fall off.
I'm going to leave this room open until it shuts down, and I am going to, if you're over on Kick, we're going to host over to the Great Conspiracy, who's been restreaming us.
Thank you, Great Conspiracy. And with that,
and
guys,
Roger has
been
too, though.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Roger. Even though your input tonight was really questionable, I got to tell you, I'm like,
well, I had to bring down the hammer, dude.
It's the hammer.
You know,
the hammer.
I had to bring it down.
Were you bringing down the hammer or bringing up the prick? I'm trying to figure out which one was going on.
When the hammer fell on Fairy Tale Daycare, dude. Check it out. It's a show. It's a show. I will talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, go over and check out Draegus Production. You can find them on Kick, Rumble, DLive. You can also find them on YouTube as well as a few other platforms that I'm really not aware of. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the show or the simulcast. I hope you enjoyed, and